It's time to take a look inside ECSU Mighty Vikings football. Welcome to Viking Coaches Show with Marcus Hilliard on WRVS 89.9.
Yes, another episode of Viking Coaches Show here on your community voice. Yours truly, Clay Mercer. And as always, I am blessed to have the head coach of ECSU football, Marcus Hilliard, with us. Coach Hilliard, thank you so much for making this happen. Interesting week of festivities down in Rocky Mount. We're going to get all into it, but we touched on it. But I want to show a little bit of love to a couple of Vikings who have had some success through week number 2, which was obviously last week. And we recognized them on the show, but CIAA recognized DeAndre Tolson as CIAA Defensive Back of the Week and DeMarcus Creasy as Rookie of the Week. Speak on both of those players for a moment and kind of what they bring to the table for ECSU.
Yeah, we're just talking about Tolson, man. He's just a quiet leader. He's a program guy. He's going to do everything you ask him to do. And just happy for his success, man. He actually, when we came to camp, he wasn't actually the starter, and he fought his way through and earned the right to start. And he's been Mr. Reliable for us. And just he's a hometown guy, too. Yeah, he's from Elizabeth City, man. So a lot of people know him in the area. And, it's just a pleasure to coach him and have him on our squad. And then with DeMarcus Creasy, man, he's like lightning in a bottle, true freshman. And he does some things I told you guys before, man. You take the good and the bad with him. And a lot of it is great, what he does. And, he gives us that dual threat that it's hard to stop in our league or just in the country, period. And both of those guys, man, great guys to coach and just proud of what they were able to do as far as making Player of the Week for the CIAA.
Yeah, it's great to get those accolades, and their individual success helped the Vikings to a 2-1 record on the season heading in to the Down East Viking Football Classic on Saturday. And there's always a lot happening around the game. It's almost very similar to the CIAA basketball tournament where you sometimes you just can't focus on the game because there's just so much activity happening outside of the game. But I wanted you to speak a little bit about the difficulty of keeping the team focused when there's just so much more to get into.
Yeah, the CIAA is an event, man. It's you have everybody from, of course, we had Martin Luther King III there this weekend, man, and had the Secret Service, had the Secretary of State. You have all these different dignitaries. So it is tough, man. You guys want to meet those people and see, but it's tough sometimes. And, of course, we had our Fan Fest as well. Right. So it could be difficult to try to get the guys focused on the task at hand. All the activities and the festivities are because of the game. And so it was just our job just to make sure that they focus on that and just to keep them steadfast as to why we're actually here in Rocky Mount. And it's for the football game and to try to get a win against whatever opponent we're facing.
That's correct. And the Rocky Mount Athletic Complex was crowded as usual for the Classic. Good crowd on both sides. You knew Fayetteville State was going to bring their fans too. And last week we talked a little bit about the Vikings being the underdog and that underdog role and how the players were looking forward to this challenge, maybe turning some heads. Just speak a little bit about how practice was and how the team's energy was right before kickoff.
Yeah, last week was a little different, man. Especially here in North Carolina, we got a lot of rain. It was a tropical system that, people really didn't know about. So, I mean, with that being said, it always rains in Elizabeth City. So Tuesday was kind of a washout day for us, man. It was just so rainy and the field was just so muddy. So we were able to get a mental health day or a mental rep day where we just mentally went over the game plan. And, of course, Wednesday and Thursday, we practiced. So felt good about practice. I think we came out and we understood that assignment or what we were trying to do, what was the game plan against Fayetteville. So I had a great week of practice. We felt good about it. The guys, we were healthy, and everybody did what we needed them to do.
You talk about the mental side of it, and everybody can see the physical side. Obviously, football is a very physical sport. But the mental side is just as important. Speak on that and what the coaching staff does on a week-to-week basis to make sure that the team has the mental focus necessary to have success on the field.
Yeah, a lot of the game is mental. You have to know situations. You have to know your plays. You have to know how this affects you. You got to know, well, what if this happens? And that's what we're basically coaching, just the mental part or the thinking part of the game. All right. If you see this different front, then we want to run this. So it's basically getting them to understand what you already see. And that's what we prepare them for, whether it be through scouting reports. A lot of our coaches give tests. Actual physical tests, like it is school. It's a classroom deal, man. And we just want to get you prepared mentally where now, the physical part, we know you can execute or whatever, but we just want to make sure that you know what you're doing. And that's the job during the week, just to mentally prepare the guys to execute. Yeah, we knew the Vikings would be mentally and physically ready for the Down East Viking Football Classic, but through the first half, especially through the first quarter, ECSU would be scoreless. Fayetteville State would be also too, and ECSU benefited from a few Bronco penalties to move the chains for the first few drives. But you could tell that the Vikings weren't moving the ball the way that they wanted to. That fluidity that we saw earlier in the season just wasn't there. FSU missed on a field goal attempt themselves. What were your observations of the team and what you saw in that first quarter alone? Well, it's the Down East Classic. So, it's always an elevated it's always elevated as far as the play, the excitement and the adrenaline is pumping. And that's what you kind of saw in the first quarter. The crowd is into it. And, for me, it's just like, okay, we got to be even keel. We got to be able to get past that rush of adrenaline and settle down and play our game and be, who we are. And that's what it was in that first quarter. Each team just trying to figure each other out. We saw that Fayetteville the week previously, they played a top level Valdosta team. And I knew that wasn't the same team we would get in Rocky Mount. So for me, it's a strategy, just playing, it's a chess match. Like, okay, I move here. This is what they're going to do. We do that. So that's kind of what I saw in the first quarter, just each team trying to fill each other out. Yeah, and as they were filling each other out, obviously after that first quarter, still 0-0. But midway through the second quarter, the Broncos would only need about 2 minutes to strike first. Julian Milligan, 19-yard touchdown run after the PAT made the score 7-0. That will be the only score of the first half. Your words to the team in the locker room as you made your way there at halftime, only down by a touchdown. Yeah, this is a top-level team, and, we're only down by 7. We got to execute. We got to get some things. We're getting down into the red zone, but we got to be able to finish, and we got to do some things that so that we could be productive. Yeah. And defensively, I think to that point we had played some top level defense, and in order to be great, we got to be able to pitch a shutout. And I knew that they had gotten the ball back, because we received in the first half. So defensively, we needed a 3-and-out, and that's what we basically told the defense. Yeah, and Code Blue stepped up. The ECSU defense stepped up the first minute of the third quarter. A pick six by senior linebacker DeMaurian Smith, 35 yards to the end zone. PAT will make it 7-7. Smith's first interception of the season. Talk about his leadership and Code Blue's impact on the game up to that point. Yeah, I've said it before. Him and Tracy White probably are two of the best linebackers in the CIAA, if not the nation. And, those guys always step up. And it was just so sweet when you saw the interception, man. It was just like he threw it to him, like he threw it right to him. And then he ran in stride, and it just got the crowd up. It got the sidelines up. I was fired up, man. Like, yes. And Code Blue, they're able to generate, we see it, we weren't moving the ball as well as we wanted to, or being able to get a score, and they know they had to generate something. Coach always talks about generating turnovers and getting turnovers, and it was a fine time to get it at that point, just to make it 7-7. Yeah, it made it a game, and I tell you, the Broncos will go on, obviously, to score 24 more points after that score to make it 31-7, a victory over the Vikings. We didn't want to stay too much on this game. We knew what the final score was, but FSU would be able to get about 229 passing yards, 150 on the ground. Those are not numbers that we have been accustomed to seeing defensively by ECSU so far this season. And I'm sure there was a lot of frustration when you talk about Code Blue after that game. Yeah, they knew that, that is not the norm for us. I think we've played a lot of plays. And again, we joke about the conditioning, but it was like 80-something degrees out there. Not making that an excuse or anything, but, we knew that was going to play a factor as well. But they knew it. We came back Sunday and we watched the film, just some plays we wish we could have had back. And, they're up for the run and they know kind of we left some things out there, but we'll get it turned around definitely.
Yeah, you talked about the mental side of it earlier, and you talk a lot about film review. The team usually goes over the film of the previous game, whether it was a win or whether it was a loss. What do you take from these film sessions, and what do you hope that the student athletes take whenever you have these film sessions that will kind of help them and guide them to success in future games? Yeah,
what we do, man, and we watch the film, but we take 10 good, 10 bad. I mean, let's discuss why these were good, and then we discuss why these are bad, and it helps them understand the whole picture. And we're not just downing them, oh, we could have did this wrong. No, we're showing you, hey, you actually executed, we did this right. And then we show them where we got to get better with the execution. So hopefully they're able to take that and improve upon themselves and watch more film and see the notes that we added in and just try to perfect their own craft.
Yeah. Speaking on Creasy for a moment, he had to deal with a lot of pressure really throughout the game. It was really difficult for him. He led the team in rushing yards. I know a lot of coaches say, well, I don't want my quarterback leading in rushing yards, but he was sacked about 3 times, threw a couple of interceptions. It was really a tough day for your rookie quarterback.
Yeah, like I said, you got to take the good and the bad. He was pressured more than what we wanted. I think sometimes he made some good decisions. Sometimes, we got to go back and say, hey, we could have done this better. It's part of the growing and the learning process for him. Again, he's a true freshman, so he'll know the next time he's presented or in those situations, he will know how to handle them. And Fayetteville State, they have a phenomenal front seven. I mean, those guys, Merritt and the rest of those guys are preseason All-CIAA picks, so we kind of knew what we were up against. So, he's seeing the top level of our conference, seeing the top level of competition. So now he'll know how to deal once he able, and he's seeing those things again from other teams. So, for him, again, learning is the best teacher and experience is the best teacher. And so hopefully he'll take these things and know how to be better once he sees them again.
Definitely. 31-7 is the final score. ECSU drops to 0-1 in their first conference matchup for the Vikings. Final overall thoughts, positives and negatives that you take away from the Down East Viking Football Classic.
Yeah, for me, Fayetteville's a great team. Nothing against him. I think Coach Hayes, he's been one of the leaders in our conference. But, for me, and I told the guys this yesterday, I don't feel like they were a 24-point team better than us. We made some mistakes and we put them in some situations where they were able to do that. But that is the top of our conference, and we hung in there up into the third quarter, the end of the third quarter. So we feel good about it, but we still got work to do. And if you want to be a championship level team, you got to go in and you got to make the plays to beat the champions, and that's the message. And we'll correct it, and we can't keep dwelling on it, and we just got to get better. So it was a learning experience for us. Even me as a coach is saying, okay, this is what we need to do next time to prepare the team. And so that was the message to the team. We get a bye week here to kind of clean up some things and get ready for Livingstone, which is our next opponent.
Yeah, and we'll talk a little bit more about the bye week in a few moments. Coach, any injuries that we kind of need to know about? Obviously, a bye week is good if you do have some injuries so they can heal up and be ready for the next game. What are we looking at as far as injury report?
No major injuries, man. I think that's also always a good thing.
It's a beautiful thing.
It's always a good thing. No major injuries. We were good to go. And having this bye week, which we talked about, is one of my first times ever having a bye week other than hurricane or any event like that, but it's different having a bye week. So we're able to, rest some guys and still be able to practice, but rest some guys so we can be ready for the stretch run.
Outstanding. A lot happening in ECSU athletics. We'll speak on that and get you ready for the bye week. Yeah, we'll talk more about that in a few. It's Viking Coaches Show on WRVS 89.9.
Do you have a question or comment for Coach Hilliard? Call into the show, 855-899-WRVS.
Elizabeth City State University promises to be the most affordable choice for a high-quality university education. The North Carolina Promise Tuition Plan will reduce the tuition cost of attending ECSU to only $500 per semester for in-state students. Learn more online at ecsu.edu/ncpromise. Elizabeth City State University. Come to discover, leave to conquer.
Hi, it's Rachel Martin with Morning Edition. There comes a time when you've just got to let go of that old vehicle. Lots of great memories, but at this point, it is just taking up space. You could try to sell it, but that can be a hassle. So here's a thought. Let this station take it off your hands. Proceeds from the sale benefit this station, and you could get a tax break. Call today. Thanks.
Call 866-789-8627 and find us online at ecsu.edu/WRVS.
From the football field to the radio, this is Viking Coaches Show on WRVS 89.9.
Welcome back to the show. And, Coach, we talked a little bit about ECSU athletics. So much happening, not only football, but the volleyball team. They're in action as they host their first home game of the season. They'll welcome Virginia Union to the Vaughn Center on Thursday. The matchup will begin at 6. The ECSU men's and women's cross-country team will travel to Richmond to participate in the Panther Invitational, which is coming up on Friday. The Vikings, as we've talked about before, have a bye week this week, heading in. They'll be heading back on the road on October 5th to take on Livingstone. With a bye week, again, this is one of your first times dealing with a bye week, and when you come off of a setback, as a head coach, I'm sure you'd like to jump right back onto the field that next Saturday. But with a bye week, sure it's a little bit difficult to have to sit with it until the game on October 5th.
Yeah, I hate it. you gotta let that one sit for 2 weeks, man. It is tough, man. And for me, it's always better. Oh, for anybody, it's always better to if you're gonna have a bye week, have a win that previous week. But it is what it is. I think I'm looking at it as a standpoint of us sharpening our skills, as a coaching staff, just going over doing some self-scouting and just seeing how we can get better, how I can coach the team better. And so it's providing that opportunity. So I'll take time to self-reflect and get myself together, and the coaches will self-scout and get the guys healthy, and we'll be ready to go. So we're making it a positive deal. I don't want to dwell on, with the loss or whatever, but we're making it a positive deal, and we'll move forward and be ready for Livingstone.
Will practice schedules be a little bit different with the bye week? I mean, you have a little bit more extra time when it comes to practice. So does that change? And how does the coaching staff kind of use the bye week to help the team prepare for the game on October 5th?
Yeah, we're creatures of habit, so our schedule will be the same. We'll utilize some of that time, though. I do want these guys, of course, they're students first, so of course study hall is mandatory anyway, but those guys will get a chance to handle their academics and some personal things that they need to do, but our practice schedule will stay the same. I haven't told them yet if I'm going to give them off Saturday. We don't know. We'll see how we practice through the week, because Saturday will be a game that would be a game day for us. But we'll see how we progress through the week. I'll make that decision maybe on Wednesday, Thursday, and we'll be right back at it, though, on next Sunday. That's how we do.
If you did practice on Saturday, would it be a little bit, because you want to have that, you still would like to have a game on Saturday. So does that bring any more intensity to Saturday's practice if you did have to have a practice on there?
Nah, it would be more of a walkthrough. Okay. We wouldn't try to risk it. You know what I mean? We want to stay healthy if we did practice on Saturday. Yeah. But I see where you're going with that. But you want to keep the competition level. But that's why we're still practicing through the week. We don't want to lose it. It's the same thing we've been doing, so we'll still continue our practices, and in practice we'll still do some of the same things that we would do anyway. So, if we were to practice on Saturday, it'll be a very, very light practice, and we wouldn't risk anything with that.
So, fellas, if you're listening right now, you may practice on Saturday. So we'll see how the next few days of practice go. That's the head coach of ECSU Mighty Vikings football, Coach Hilliard. Thank you so much. I want to give you the microphone, talk to the Vikings, and get them back on track, because I know a lot of people may have disappointments that we weren't able to get that win in Rocky Mount, but there's a lot of season left to go.
Yeah, just appreciate the fans and the support of the people that called and text and email. We took a minor setback, but we're gonna have a major comeback, I promise you. And at this point of the season, I'm still excited about it, and we got a long season, man. We got a long season left, man. And if you've been watching this, you've seen how we progressed, and we're gonna just only get better. And we're still practicing, and the guys still need everybody's support. And thankful for everybody who supported us at the Down East, man. It was great to see everybody, and we're going to get back to work. We're going to get back to work, and we'll be ready to go against Livingstone.
Yeah. The Vikings continue to be road warriors. They'll have a game on October 5th. Livingstone, they won't be returning home after that either. So we'll talk more about the Livingstone game next week. And fans, if you missed out on any parts of today's show, you want to catch past shows, just go to the WRVS 89.9 YouTube channel and listen anytime. For Coach Hilliard, I'm Clay Mercer. Thank you all for joining us for Viking Coaches Show. We'll see you next week right here on WRVS 89.9.